Hello to all you yids out there. This is the Heart Now Here Spurs Fans Podcast, a podcast from a bunch of yids to all you yids around the world. And we record this on Monday, the 2nd of February at 8:30 at night. If you're joining us live across our socials, big love to you. Thanks for tuning in. If you're listening on our normal streaming platforms, again, big love. But as you'll know, not much is happening in the transfer window as we speak. I think we've got a young Scottish lad on loan, which looks like it's part of a bigger project, which is typical Spurs. But, it is what it is. However, it shouldn't be all doom and gloom. We come here 7 days removed from times when we didn't think it could get much worse. And we've got a win in Europe that took us fourth in the Champions League and into a playoff. Well, not the playoff, into the actual round of 16. We avoid the playoff. And then we get a draw, fuck knows how, against Manchester City after what was a terrible first half. It's myself, Lee Tarrier, Kevin Dennis, and our good friend Shane. How you doing, lad? You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, not too bad, Lee. Not too bad.
Any of you know if anyone's coming? Is Raheem Sterling driving down the A10, or is Ryan Nelson having a medical? Fucking Louis Saha. We got anyone coming in before the end of the deadline day?
Deadline's done now, Lee. 7 o'clock.
Oh, 7. Oh, fucking hell. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So no Louis Saha, no Good Johnson, no Ryan Nelson, no Brad Friedel.
Mate.
I think we would have took all of them at the start of the day. To be honest, I would have had all them back just to have some bodies in the team.
Well, it's so weird, isn't it? Like with Tottenham, it's like every manager sort of says the same thing. When we've had Ange, when we had Conte, now obviously with Frank, they kind of say this cryptic thing about, oh yeah, we're exploring all options, but it's got to be the right option. It's got to be the right option, and you're like, there is no right option. Is there? If you don't know what you're getting, you're not going to get them. Conor Gallagher, I mean, at least they went out and done the business there. I think long term we are going to be really, really happy with him. I think yesterday he showed a little bit of what he can be about. But I guess, Shane, I'll start with you. Like, the week started strongly. We went to Frankfurt, and again, we looked good. We looked a totally different team to what we've been seeing at games like Burnley and West Ham. How did you think that started the week?
Yeah, it was bang on, mate. Like you say, especially with all these injuries, and everyone, the amount of players that we've got available, I was really happy with the performance, to be honest with you. And then, like you say, then leading into yesterday, and then more injuries, and it's like a never ending. But I think this is possibly as bad as it's been, injury wise. I really can't think it being any worse. And yeah, the fact that we've not signed anyone, knowing it today's the last day, and giving all, like you say, giving all the bollocks of, oh yeah, we're trying. I'll get it's a hard window. You just get bodies in. If you're not having anyone who's going to come in, because I get, like, obviously you've been linked with certain players before, but this one, it just like there's literally nothing. I'm like Kevin said in the last pod, looking constantly, refreshing, and just hearing nothing whatsoever. Not linked with anyone. There was just nothing coming our way. And where's this money, that this war chest, so called, that we were told we were getting? I know it was never called that, but 150 million or whatever it was, 100 million. Then the money from the Johnson sale. Then on top of that, I think it was 30 or 40 million we get from finishing top 8 as well in Champions League. Like, not a penny of that's been spent. It really has baffled me. I'm so glad I was asked to come on tonight, because my head is frazzled today. The fact that we have not brought anyone in is utter madness to me.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it now. There's been a tweet from at Invert the Wing. It's actually a good Spurs account to follow on X, and it's 1 year apart. This is 1 year apart. I'm going to read these out. So now our absentees at the moment are Bentancur with his hamstring, returning in May. Bergvall ankle, April. Danso toe, we don't know when he's back. Davis ankle, April. Kudus thigh, April. Kulusevski knee, March. They've been saying that for fucking ages. Maddison, knee, next season. Porro and Richarlison, hamstrings, late February coming back. Spence, calf, unknown. Mickey van der Ven, knock, February apparently. Stain Day last year. Richarlison out. Sarr, Maddison, Spence, Johnson, Solanke, Werner, Adogi, Romero, Van der Ven, Vicario, Odebert. Same day, same exact day, February the 2nd, 2025, and now February 2nd, 2026. We don't learn. I mean, medical team, whatever it is, we realize that this gets to a crucial part of the season. We don't really build on it. I know January may not always be the easiest, but it's tough. And we're still going through the same things now. We are on, in many ways, bare bones. And Kev, we were at bare bones yesterday. That game against Man City, the first half, I mean, yeah, it was a morgue. And all they were doing was showing the faces of the fans. And it just looked like everyone was at despair. But somehow, these bare bones came out and got a result. I mean, you know, there was a couple of things put on the Insta about players and that. But from your point of view, how did that happen? How did we get a draw? You know, a couple of brilliant moments of brilliance, but how did that manifest?
Yeah, mate. I think it's been the same in a lot of games this under Frank. I think we've had clumps of good moments in games, or especially, you know, one half out of the two being good and the other half being bad. So, you know, at half time, you're sort of expecting us to. Is there a chance to come back in the second half and play completely opposite like we have done? I mean, remember the Aston Villa game for a prime example of it. And we did. We done it again. We come out the second half and decided to be a different side. And, you know, it's for how bad the first half was, that could have been a lot worse. And we could have been going in 3 or 4-0 down at half time. And then do you really have a good chance coming back into it with that sort of scoreline against that sort of team? Probably not. So saving us was probably being only 2-0 down at half time. But yeah, like I said, with the halves, the inconsistent halves, you're still never sure. And I was making phone calls at half time to meet people up in the pubs. So I was going to give it another 10, 15 minutes, and I was either going to go home early or get in the pub.
Oh, you went there then? You went yesterday?
Yeah, I went yesterday, yeah. So
right.
I was making a decision whether to go. And then obviously the way we started them, we scored early, and then obviously I stayed. And, you know, we was unlucky not to win it, I thought, at the end. We really did show a bit of character, and it's just frustrating because it's not there for 90 minutes. Sometimes it's not even there for 60, 70 minutes. It's there sometimes for a 45, and that's it. So they've got to sort that out. They've got to somehow change that. But yeah, listen, you can't knock the effort that them players gave in the second half, you know, because for the bench we had, it really was down to them players that started the game to get us back into it, and they did. But yeah, really frustrating the first half. But yeah, it's just a common theme at the moment of Jekyll and Hyde performances. But I think at the start of the game we would have took 2-0 regardless of how the scoreline went during that. It was a game where a point would have been good. A lot of people have written us off for the 4 games in Feb. Me probably being one of them as well. So anything you can get in these 4 games with this injury crisis, I think at the moment is a bonus. The worrying thing now is where we haven't brought anyone in this month. If we get any more injuries, then we really are fucked. And that's the worrying thing. And like Shane alluded to there, I'm not asking you to go and spend £100 million in this window, but they had to surely go down the loan market and get players in just for a bit of depth. I'm not saying they had to be starting players, but we just needed more bodies on the bench, you know, in case we get another injury crisis. So yeah, really strange month for us in terms of that. Really strange month in terms of the injuries. It really is a shot in the dark where we go from here, from now till May, and where this team finishes. It's just inconsistencies all over the place, on the pitch, off the pitch, with the board, with the fans. You really, really just can't tell what's going to happen.
Well, staying with you there, Kev, and I agree in many ways. It was a positive week in many ways. Like, we would have took this 2-2, as you say. We went to Frankfurt. It was a professional job. You do a job like that in Europe, where they were out, fair enough, but they still wanted a bit of pride. Their fans are a boisterous lot. We knew that when we played them last year in the Europa League. We went out there and done a really professional job. Is there stuff, like you say, it's not working for 90 minutes, but is there enough, especially in these last 2 games, that you look at and you go, there is something about what Thomas Frank is trying to do here. These players are playing for him to a point. Do you think that these games like this show that there is that fight in the squad, or is it they just go into, why do you think it's been so successful in the Champions League, and why do you think we was able to claw it back yesterday?
Yeah, I think like everyone else, I think at one point we really thought that they weren't playing for him with the sort of performances they were putting out there. But Shane said it to me the other day in the group chat. He's like all of us are now confused because they do decide to go on the front foot in games. They do start to fight in certain moments of games. So they haven't completely left him, and that's clear to see yesterday with the character they showed to get back into that game. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of frustrated senior players behind the scenes in terms of Romero. I'm sure we're going to mention his Instagram tweet today once the deadline passed. To that, he's obviously disappointed that we didn't bring anyone in. His words were that it's disgraceful that we're having to lean on 11 players week in, week out, juggling 2 games a week, which he's fucking right. And he's saying what we're all thinking. But the club have a strategy. Whatever they do, the board or ENIC, whoever it is, have decided that they don't want to spend any money in this window. And that's the Russian roulette they're going to play with Thomas Frank for the rest of the season. I think being successful in the Champions League so far has probably kept his job, kept him in it. It probably kept the fans slightly off his back more than they should be. So, listen, I can't knock him for doing the job that we did. Yes, we didn't have really, really difficult fixtures, but the way we was playing at the time in the league to finish 4th in that Champions League, I think is quite an achievement. So it's just about where these players go from now. And it's about getting players back if they can get them back, but it's also keeping the current ones fit. I think we've seen how important Dom Solanke is since he's come back, and you don't need him getting injured now because we know we haven't got the depth up front, and there's no one that can go in there and replace him at the moment. So it is such a risk what they've done in terms of not going into this window and not getting any bodies, whether that's on loan, whether it's 6-month contracts, the players out of contracts anywhere, people just sitting around doing nothing. They really, getting rid of Scarlett on loan for me was a must, or a dead cert that he was going to bring someone in by letting Scarlett go, because he's the sort of depth we need at the moment. So really shocked they haven't brought anyone in, but they obviously are trusting their own process for it. A part of me doesn't want the board to get away with it, but then the other half of me doesn't want to watch my team struggle week in, week out and have a fight down the bottom in the relegation zone, because I think that's fucking embarrassing for our football club. So all we can do now is get behind him, get behind the players that they've got fit, wish the players back to full fitness, the ones that are out, and have a good go at it now. And it is now what it is. So who knows what's going to happen? It's just a roller coaster with Tottenham. It really is.
It is. And I guess, Shane, when it comes to your mob and whatnot, the people you speak to in circles at Spurs, obviously you talked a lot with Kev and the boys there, but in any other circles, what's the thought on Frank? And especially, again, these really strong performances that look really good in Europe, and then something like a spirited comeback yesterday. Where's the opinion lie with him?
As Kev said, I've been Frank out for a little while now, but it was mentioned on the pod last week. You've got to give it to him. Is for him to still be there and still fucking taking the blows, getting booed off game after game, and rightly so. But he's still there and he's still fighting. And to be honest, what this board have done and not giving him the players, knowing the crisis we're in, we had 12 players yesterday or whatever it was. Knowing that and not signing anyone, how are they backing him? They're saying that they're backing him and they're going to stick with the process. I don't get how. If they were to do that, surely just get some bodies in. Don't let Scarlett go out. No, I 100% agree with Kev. As soon as I seen Scarlett go out on loan, I was adamant. Well, at least we're definitely. I said at work. As soon as I seen it, I was like, "That's fucking crazy." But at least it means we're getting someone in, and there's no one come in. I'm not going to lie. I feel a little bit for him. Whether this is the fucking what the board are trying to do, we're now all gone soft and turning the other way on Frank and thinking, you know what, the players, and as Kev said, I did message him the other day, and they are playing from it, in my opinion. You've seen it when they're scoring, they're going fucking mental, and they are really look like they're up for it. I mean, that first half yesterday was as bad as it fucking gets. I mean, fair play to anyone who stayed there yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't there, but you could hear it on the TV that the atmosphere was fucking hell. Was as sounded like, yeah, I reckon you could have had a chat with someone in the south, Kev, I reckon, from your seat. It was that bad. But
quiet.
Yeah, I just don't get how they haven't. I just can't get my head around it. Honestly, I cannot get my head around how we've not signed anyone. It's knowing what we've got coming up. Like you said earlier, the players are not coming back. A lot of them were March, as you were saying. So hopefully Van der Ven's back this week. But yesterday, I thought his substitutions were good yesterday. I will give it to him. I thought when he brought Odobert and Talon, I thought they were perfect timing, perfect players, and for the right players. So I will hold my hands up and I'll give that to Frank. What I did go mad at, and I was screaming at the TV, you could see Solanke looking over. I don't know if he waved to say to come off or whatever, but he was absolutely fucked, whether he took a knock or whatever. And as Kev has said, you cannot risk not having Solanke at the minute. He for us is so important. So yes, all right, it's 2-2. I get you probably want him on because he's done everything in that game, but you've got to bring him off. You've got to take that risk and bring him off, because if he's out for the next game, we really are fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give Frank his dues a little bit. I've been a very big talker about what I think of Ange and Poch and this and that and what I want the future of. But this guy takes the blows. He's not helped himself and covered himself in glory in ways. We know some of the PR fuck ups, the coffee cup, the talk about fans not booing. I think he's learning on the job in many ways. I think his first job with Brentford, nice family club, he's had to learn from that. He didn't start too well there and he grew. I think he's learned that this is a totally different beast. And I'm not saying all of a sudden it's turned around just because it's been a half decent week. But I admire that he comes out and admire that he wants it to work. There have been others that would have just thrown in the towel, I think, in many ways. And he's not doing that.
The thing I'm worried about, Lee, is that we have these sort of managers and it's always the same old story. The board, whether it's Levy or it's the new mob that are in there now, the early signs now are that they're not willing to back their current managers. And this is a manager that, that they want. Vinay, whatever his name is, and Lang, they obviously really want him. And if the fans are on his back, then you've really got to try and help him out as much as you can. If you think he's your man, with this transfer window, there is a big risk of things going really tits up from now until May in terms of the league side of it. The Champions League's a free hit, but the domestic scene, and after these 4 games are finished, we're really going to be playing teams that are really scrapping down the bottom. And if results don't go our way, we will be dragged down there. We were quite lucky that West Ham didn't win against Chelsea, because that would have been a 4 or 5 point gap from the bottom 3. And it's just fine margins and it's risky decisions. And I really think that they're risking another manager, to be thrown under the bus because they don't want to put their hands in the pocket in a certain month when we're really crying out for players. Seasons gone by, we've gone out in January and bought players when we really didn't need them. Like I always think about Lucas Moura. That was a January sign. We didn't really need, but there was an opportunity there to strengthen the side. But at the moment, the side is weak in terms of numbers, and it just astounds me that they haven't gone out and helped this manager that they, proclaim to love and want to back and want him to manage Tottenham for the next 5 years. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens. And if the axe does fall on him, I think Thomas Frank can maybe walk out of that club. Yes, he's had a bit of a shitter, but there's a deeper reason why he's another manager casualty at Tottenham. Is because the board haven't give him the money or the funds or the players to go out and strengthen at a point of the season where it's crucial where we are in the league to try and even minimum try and get into the top 10 or top 8 and get European football next year. So it is really, really Russian roulette in terms of from now till May, I feel.
We've been told the money's there. Sorry, Lee. We've been told that the money's there. So this is what I don't get. And I really do feel for Frank, because what's he meant to do? He's got them players there and he's got nothing else to go at. Yes, he's got a couple of young lads, but even like Williams Barnett's injured. And now exactly what Kev said, if say for instance at the weekend we do get another couple of injuries, we really are fucked. I mean, we're signing, obviously we signed that young lad today for the under-21s, but is it a case you're going to have to pull them up into the first team? And it, yeah, it's absolutely fucking mental. Honestly, I've said it 100 times, but I just can't get my head around it. On the flip side, though, one thing I will say is, and it's been mentioned, I reckon, after every win, I know there's not been a lot of them, but after every win, if we don't build on to the next game, it means fuck all. And we've kept saying that on this podcast week in, week out, not week in, week out, because we've hardly had any wins, but when we have one, it's got to go on, or even a good performance. So Frankfurt, we've then gone into Man City, and it's absolute shit first half, but second half's good. And it really is good. And I'm not going to lie, I come away from that really quite positive. Today, I'm back on a bit of a downer with, obviously, we haven't signed anyone, but if you can build on that, and at the end of the day, United, their run's got to stop at some point. And if we can build on that now, who says that we can't keep going on and get something against Newcastle?
Do you know what? To be honest with you, I said it to the boys in the pub before. I said these 4 games, especially possibly City, United. Well, do you know what? Even Arsenal too, as well. We're not expected to win these football matches, but it's about playing, putting a bit of pride and putting performances in. I don't mind losing when we're in the state we're in, but I need them to give it a go, especially at home in front of them supporters. So I'm asking you just for performances at the moment because I know where we are. But if you can't give us performances like you did in that first half against Man City, then we really are fucked. But if you can give me something in the second half, I don't mind going away to Old Trafford and narrowly losing, or losing a derby to Arsenal at home with the state we're in, if we give them a game. If we choose not to give them a game, like we did at Chelsea when we just sort of fucking bottled it and let them do it, Arsenal away, then that's not good enough for me. But you've got to be realistic in the situation we're in with the players out and injured what we have. We aren't expected to win these games, but we need to show a bit of bollocks. And we did do that yesterday in the second half.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to stick on in that, because we have our match days and we're proudly sponsored by our good friends at Hotspur Heritage and Off the Muss UK. But I saw, Kev, on the socials, there was a couple people called out. One being Gray, another one being Xavi Simons, and he, alongside what brilliance of Solanke. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Simons.
Yeah, mate, I'm really, really impressed with Simons. You know, we're asking our players to play on the front foot at the moment, and he seems to want to play on the front foot at all times. And he's the sort of player that we need at the moment to watch, to drive the ball. You know, the whole Tottenham way of how we like players getting on the ball and making things happen. You know, good players in the past in shit teams, they've always sort of got us out of jail. I think Simons is that at the moment. He's that really bright spark we've got. Even when the games ain't going right, he's the only one that wants to get on the ball. And I think yesterday, the second half especially, he played with so much freedom. He felt confident. He's winning tackles everywhere. Yes, he's not the strongest kid, but he fucking puts himself about. I think that's all we sort of want at the moment, watching our players, is fight. And Xavi Simons give us that, but he also give us some great stuff with the ball yesterday. And obviously the assist for the goal for Solanke's first was unbelievable. But yeah, he gets it. He's one of them that just he understands it. And when he scores or when someone else scores, you see the passion in him, and he just wants to do well. And he's a big name, and he wants to be. He knows he's a top player, and he's been brought in for that, and he wants to be that. And he hasn't really got going so far until of late, when he's really started to flourish. But yesterday, I thought he was one of our best players, along with Archie Gray. I thought they were both fucking fantastic last night, and they're the sort of players, and that's the sort of character that we need to go through the rest of the squad as well, to get through this bump that we're in at the moment while we're waiting for players to come back, you know?
Yeah, I think Simons is showing that he's getting better week on week. He's really showing what he wants. And that can take time. You know, sometimes it's really hard when you get these players on these kind of transfer fees. You just need them to hit the ground running. We needed it. And it's not as easy as that sometimes. So I've got to give respect. He's getting better and better. Shane, Conor Gallagher, he's played 3 games now. What you've been thinking? I mean, because he was quite instrumental into that second goal, wasn't he?
I thought he was class yesterday, mate. I really did. He's one of them. He's never going to get a lot of the highlights because what he does isn't fancy. It's not, obviously, I know he set up the second goal, like you've just said, but what he does is very much similar to Paulinho for me. He just clears up the shit. So there's so many times yesterday he just cleared up just little tackles or just little interceptions, and he's there. I thought he was absolute class yesterday, and I was really, really happy with him. Another one I've just mentioned, Paulinho. For me, he has to be signed on a permanent,
Yeah,
and
100%.
he has to start week in, week out. He's one of that. Do you think he was born and bred in Tottenham? He really, really looks like he's playing. He loves the club, playing for that badge week in, week out, for the manager, whatever it is. I agree again. I think Simmons and Gray had a good game. I think Gray, fair play to him. He just he's fucking been everywhere, hasn't he? Every position, and he just does
Everywhere.
it. And young lad, and he's doing it. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with Gallagher yesterday. Obviously, Solanke. I mean, we're naming quite a few players. That's 5 players we're naming. So yeah, that second half, it just shows that we can do it, and you can if they get that little kick up the arse now, and hopefully if Van der Ven is back, and if Danso or if Spence is back, do you know what I mean? It then adds a bit more, and like I said yesterday with Talanoa, they're not bad subs to be bringing on.
No, not.
But yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with Basuma yesterday. I thought the week Frankfurt, was it Frankfurt he started? Whenever it was, he started the game before. I think it was Frankfurt. I was quite impressed, and I thought for someone who we were all adamant was going to be out of this club and not to play a part whatsoever, for him to come in, I thought he had a good game. But yeah, he was at fault for that.
Joe,
I
think Shane, I think he would have been out of the club if we didn't have the injuries we've got. I think we've been kind of forced to play him. But to be fair to him, yeah, listen, he fucked up for the goal yesterday, but he doesn't look like a player who's really out of sorts at the moment, or looks unhappy and looks like he wants to leave the club. He's doing a job. Well, he's got to do jobs. He's being picked, so that's all we got. But I'd expect him to maybe not to have been as good as he has in terms of because he's not a bad football player. He really isn't.
No.
And at Brighton, he was fantastic, and he's had good moments for us. Yes, he's had some shit moments as well. But I feel like for a player that is ready, they probably told him that he's going to go. To then say, look, we need you. You're going to stay, and you're going to help us out. I think he's been quite a professional about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think because you've got, and also he's doing himself a favour because he goes in there and does a job. He's going to get in the team, and that's what everyone wants. At the end of the day, we want the best players playing the best. It's interesting as well. Obviously, Romero came off. He's highlighted in that Instagram post tonight that look, it's disgusting how depleted we are. We had Dragusin in, Kev. He's obviously going to be quite rusty. He's out for quite a while. What did you think of him in the game? Do you think he grew into it? Did you as watching it live, it was better as the game went on?
Yeah, another player really who's kind of being thrown in there, and probably, ideally you probably wanted to really slow him into things, and you're having to put him in. Obviously, Romero going at halftime wasn't planned, so he's had to come into a game like that, probably against one of the best strikers in Europe. And I didn't think Haaland done fuck all yesterday, and I thought they dealt with him really, really well. I thought Dragusin done really well with him in the second half. But you've got to expect these little, complacency in passes and stuff, because some of these players like him and Basuma are kind of really just getting back into the swing of things, and they're also playing in a bit of a toxic environment with how the club is at the moment. So, I mean, it's all we have at the moment. So you can only commend these players for coming in and doing their best. And if they do get a 7 out of 10 when you've been out for a year, I think it's really good for them and for us. But it is all we've got, and they're professional footballers, and you expect them to play for the badge no matter what the situation is. And I think they've done that yesterday.
Yeah, I've got to commend them for that, because that is not an easy game to be thrust into, and especially like you say, in the atmosphere it is. Shane, I mean, I've been a massive fan of Solanke since he joined us. I think he obviously had a really good time at Bournemouth, and that's why we got him in. But I think he does a lot of work. I think you realise when he's not there, as Kev said, and if he weren't there and he got injured, we'd be in fucking trouble. But he is a quality player, isn't he? And I think Thomas Tuchel being there, he's been in the England fold when he's been fit. He could be on the plane to the World Cup, couldn't he? Because he's got talent.
Mate, for me, we're shit without him. With him, we're still shit. We have been. But without him, we are a completely different team. He does so much for that team. It's unbelievable. I'm so glad he got a couple of goals yesterday. But even if he wasn't to score goals, we still need him in that team, because what he does, he holds up so much, and he draws other players in, and that's how we're getting goals that way as well. Yeah, he's absolutely fucking class in my opinion. I think he's first name on that team sheet every single week. He's absolutely.
I think you
brilliant.
just look at the way he muscled that. Is it Kusanov off the ball for the first goal? He used his body, fucking stuck him on the weights, and then was able to get the shot away. We don't have centre forwards that can do that. We don't have centre forwards that can do that. And when he come back against Burnley in the first 5 minutes of the game, you could just tell what we've been missing in terms of the players that have played instead of him. They just haven't got what he's got in that sense. And you know, he presses the ball well, he holds it up well, he can finish, he's confident. I mean, the fucking goal says everything about him. He's willing to try things like that because he can do it. But he is fucking absolutely integral, because what we have in reserve to him is fucking shocking. And it's just a breath of fresh air, and it feels like a new signing. It really fucking does.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, the two goals were in different ways. One, just brilliant technique. The second one, well, they're both great technique, but the second one's just genius technique to like have the chance to do it. And it was a different team that second half. It just felt like they went, well, fuck it, we got to go for this. Come on. And sometimes we need to do that. And this result in the league, I know it wasn't a win, just might be that bit to turn it around. But the truth is, we are now going to the informed team in the league, Manchester United, on Saturday. That is no fucking easy game, is it? And after that, we've got Newcastle. It's a very short burst with these two games before there's about a 10-day break, I think, 12-day break before the big game against Arsenal. What you saw or what you've seen with Carrick under United under Carrick, Shane, do you think there's any chance we can go up there and get a job done or get something out of the game at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I'm normally Mr. Negative. I really am. But that second half yesterday, I know we haven't been building on what we've been doing. When we have put in a good performance, whether it be second half or getting a result, next game we're going back to shit again. But I really did feel quite positive yesterday after that second half, because I was honestly expecting us. I was telling everyone 4-0. I really thought we were going to get absolutely pumped. When it was 2-0 at half time, I weren't even annoyed because I was just expecting it. But then to get that result, I really was like, fucking come on, here we go. I'm feeling quite positive. I really am, mate. And the fact that I'm going as well, I'll be really, I think I'm just trying to manifest it. But I think the run's not going to go on forever. It never does. I hope we're the team to stop it.
Yeah, I think we've got every chance. I mean, Kev, you're going as well, aren't you? You're going up.
Yeah, we're going. Me and Shane are going together. We're going to meet him up there with a few of the other boys. So, nice early kick-off. So beers at 7:00 as per usual, and get into the ground in good spirits. But yeah, I think it's. I didn't watch the Man United Fulham game yesterday, so I don't really know how United played in that. It looked like a tight game. They were lucky to win it in the end, United. So I don't really know what's going on with them in terms of. I know I watched the Arsenal game and they've done well to get that. Scored a couple of worldies as well to beat Arsenal. But I think it's a team that concede goals. Man United will still concede goals no matter what. So it would be our chance to, if we play on the front foot at Old Trafford, there's a big chance that we can get something up there. And yes, I'd rather have took them when Amorim was there. I thought that was a real good chance of winning one of them 4 games with him in charge. But I'm a bit like Shane. I think I've seen a lot of positives of late, in certain moments of games where if we play on the front foot, we can still hurt teams. It's just when we don't play on the front foot and we sit in, that's when I worry about us. And I know I don't want to keep going 2 goals down in games and going in at half time and having to come out and try and do it again in 45 minutes to rescue a point or even win it. I want us to start games like that. I want us to surprise people. I want Man United to change their complete game plan if we go 1 or 2-0 up in games. I want all that. I don't want it to be as predictable as it has been, where it's, you're only going to get a certain clump of a fortune in these games. So, but yeah, I saw enough in that second half to make me think we can go up there and possibly get a draw or even win. So I'm going up there in good spirits, and it ain't just because I'm going. I think there's a big chance that we can get something up there.
What do you reckon the score is going to be?
I mean, it's one of them, innit? It's however you want to, whatever Tottenham you're going to see up there. But I'll go into the game being positive and hoping that we can get a draw. So I'll go for a 2-2 draw.
Shane, what are you thinking score-wise?
I think we'll win, mate. I really do.
Ooh, good.
Yeah, like I say, I am normally Mr. Negative, but I don't know why. I just really think that we're going to be the team to stop that run, and I hope we're going to be the team to stop that run. I think we'll win 2-1. We'll go 2-0 up.
Getting Van der Ven back would be massive for that game. We need Van der Ven and Romero. I think Romero is just a bit of illness. So, I mean, with them two at centre half, I think you've got even more chance of winning. And that's no knock to the others. Danso, who's came in, and Dragusin come in yesterday. No knock to them, but you need your best two away from home against a team is kind of in form and got the new manager bounce thing going on. So defensively, I think we'd be okay. It's just about how many goals we can probably score past them. So yeah, I think we need our best. I'll say our best 16, but we need our best 11. That's all we got. So we can get our best 11.
We need an 11.
Right. With Romero yesterday, I'm not saying we did better without him. I'm not saying that's the reason we got the draw, but I was getting a bit fucking wound up with him. He was in one of them moods where I texted my friend, they texted me at 2-0, and I said, get your money on fucking him getting sent off. Because he was just one of them where he's running around like a twat again, just going after to go and smash someone because he's getting wound up and doing stupid thing. And I hate it when he's in that mood, because recently he's been the opposite, where he's been going up top and really pushing it, and he's been the driving force for us getting results. But yesterday, I feel like in that first half, he was a bit of a liability for us. And I'm not going to lie, when he did come off at half time, I thought that potentially could have been the reason, because he was being such a liability and we couldn't risk getting a man sent off. Obviously, they're saying it's down to an illness. But yeah, when he went off, I wasn't pissed off, to be honest, because it's Jekyll and Hyde, isn't he? You either get the World Cup winner and one of the best centre-backs in the Prem, does absolutely everything, gets the goal, grabs the fucking net, the game by scruff of the neck, or you get this liability who's just going out and fucking wayward passing and going stupid challenges.
Do you know what, though,
and being
Shane?
out of position.
You know what? I think he's a really frustrated figure at the club at the moment. I think him and Van der Ven are two players that have been sold a bit of a dream by the board to keep them on. And I think Romero's, I know he's always been a bit of a mad cunt anyway, but I just think at the moment, I think he's a bit disillusionized with it all. And I think part of me thinks he probably wants to get out of there now, and he could go and play at a better level for a better side in Europe. He can, that's facts. I just think he's a player who's really been sort of lied to about the board, and these Instagram messages and things he's saying, I think he's probably had enough of being there. But, you've still got to be professional, and you've still got to play as well as you are and who you are, and you're a captain of your country, World Cup winner, and you still have to play like that. But I think he's a player who's really had enough, and I reckon Van der Ven's just the same. I think they're two players that, if the right club come in, I think they would push for a move, which is a shame, because I think the board, you lose them sort of players, and that is because of the board haven't, kept their promises and bought top players in, which they said they was going to do to build a team around players like Romero and Van der Ven. So I think there's a bit of that with him as well. But yeah, he can have his fucking hairy moments, we know. But yeah, I just think he's a player who may have just been a bit mistreated by the club, and I think it might show sometimes with frustration,
And the thing is, as well, saying that, obviously, I don't want to be negative about, but at the end of the day, we could be in a relegation battle. So surely the club, this is what I can't get my head around so much. It's like, you get a couple of players in, whether they're just bodies, and then we get the players back and they are just sat on the bench. Like, who gives a shit? Because you could then potentially push on for European places. But at the minute, we're all thinking, just fucking survive, which is absolutely mental to even be thinking of that. Just to survive the season and go. But that's then a year without Europe. And like Kev said, we are then going to look at losing these players. And then are you going to attract the big players if you've got no you've got no European football next season.
Oh, this is it. I mean, what we do need the old Van der Ven magic that was at Old Trafford this time last year. I can tell you that. If he can do that again, we'll be very, very happy. Like in terms of the fan point of view, Kev, how is the day looking? Like you're saying, beers from 7:30. What's the deal? Are you getting up there? What are you staying over?
No. Just going to get up there. Obviously, it's an early kickoff, so you've sort of got to make tracks as early as you can to get up there if you want to have a beer beforehand. So we've got a nice little plot at a cricket club, which I need to tell you about. So I need to send you the details of that to meet us there. Looking to get up there about 10:30. What's good about the away? I've done about three away early ones this year. So what's nice about it is you can have your piss up, you can go to the game, have your piss up on the way home, and by the time you get home, it's fucking only like 4 or 5 o'clock. So you're half juiced up anyway. So you end up having a fucking complete day out once you get back home as well, which is a nice thing about early kickoffs.
Is that the plan then, Kev?
Yeah, mate. Every early kickoff. I mean, I haven't seen us lose away this year either. So
all the away good omen. See, this is good.
All the early ones I've been to, I've managed to come back and have a good drink and celebrate a victory or a draw. So I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been Old Trafford for a while. Last time I went up there, we fucking battered them under Poch. So it's a ground I haven't been to for ages. So I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously seeing Shane in the flesh, which is nice, and some of the other boys who are coming up there. As per usual, mate, it'll be a massive away end and it'll be loud as fuck in there, and the concourse will be bouncing. It always is. So it's always a good trip when you go away with Spurs, no matter where you go. But like you said, we always say it's who you go with, and it's kind of what makes your day as well. As if the football is crap, you can still have a laugh with your pals and get to see people you ain't seen for a while. So it's what away days are all about. And if we win, even better.
Well, look at this. The omens are all there. It's an away day. You haven't lost an early away day all together. We won there last year. We've had a decent week. It's all
stars have aligned.
Stars have aligned. Lads, I hope you have a great time together. Anything you get to share on the socials, we all love to see it. I'll be watching from home, and I'm really excited to see what we can do, especially after what was a more positive week. We'll be back next week. We've got the Newcastle game as well on the Tuesday. We're deciding what we're going to do, whether we're going to do one post that game so that we cover the games because they're obviously very quick after one another. But we'll be back as always next week to talk about what has been another big week, especially this week in the Prem, because these are two big games. You get out of these two, and all of a sudden things are a lot rosier going into what is going to be now arguably the biggest game of the season against Arsenal at home. So, lads, all the very best. Enjoy Manchester. Be safe. Get pissed. And come back with 3 points. And
standard procedure, mate. Standard.
We'll see you next week. It's been the Heart Now Here Spurs Fans podcast. Have a good week. Keep the faith. And come on, you Spurs.